President Donald Trump appears to be losing his way in a labyrinth of his own making. But there's a very clear way out. Tonight, Ferguson and Jen Pellegrino on how Trump can really defeat the Epstein narrative. Richard Goodstein and Kurt Bardella on the Texas alternative to Zohran Mamdani, plus Aaron Slodov on the lies you've been hearing about artificial intelligence. But first, we're following breaking news. A source confirms to NewsNation that Attorney General Pam Bondi briefed President Trump in May about his name being mentioned in the Jeffrey Epstein files. This reporting, which the White House denies, contradicts a statement Trump made earlier this month.
Specifically, did she tell you at all that your name appeared in the file?
No, she's given us just a very quick briefing.
It's not surprising that Trump's name appeared there. It obviously doesn't mean he did anything wrong. Trump and Epstein were friends before Trump booted him from Mar-a-Lago. Like the other photos and birthday cards that they're trying to use to smear the president with the Epstein stench, this one really doesn't seem particularly damning. And in response, at least for now, the president is doing exactly what he should be doing. He spent the evening touting a new suite of executive actions, preparing the United States to win the AI future. But it stands in stark contrast to how he's been handling the fallout from the Epstein files thus far, which has been to deploy the familiar strategy of flooding the zone, all of which culminated in this week's so-called bombshell report from Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard. Today, Gabbard released more documents that she says point to an Obama-led effort to damage Trump before he got into the White House in 2016.
There was a gross politicization and manipulation of intelligence by the Obama administration intended to delegitimize President Trump even before he was inaugurated, ultimately usurping the will of the American people.
Gabbard alleges that there was an intentional effort to cover up a report which would have proved that Russia hadn't interfered in the 2016 election. That report, she says, was replaced with one that falsely showed that Russia helped Trump win, which she says was the start of the Russiagate hoax, which did undermine President Trump's first administration. Now, let's be clear, the Russiagate hoax was indeed a national embarrassment. It was an outrageous effort by the elites to cling to power against the populist uprising represented by Trump. Now, that said, the report Gabbard claims debunked the Russiagate hoax looks awfully similar to the report she says was hidden by the Obama team. Certainly, there's little here, in my opinion, that justifies allegations of treason against former President Barack Obama. And yet, for the past 2 days, instead of flaunting his many and significant accomplishments, that is all President Trump has talked about. It's what he's flooding the zone with, to the exclusion of his own groundbreaking accomplishments. And these accomplishments are significant. For example, did you know that a stock market explosion is boosting your 401k? Did you know that the S&P 500 and NASDAQ again closed at record highs? The Dow Jones is 4 points shy of a record high set in December. That's due in part to the fact that the White House is on the verge of the biggest trade deal yet with the European Union. Yesterday, the president secured a trade deal with Japan that leaves a 15% tariff on Japan while securing American cars access to the Japanese market, access we've been denied forever. This will revitalize America's car makers and manufacturing. It will raise billions of dollars in revenue. Thousands of working-class families will be able to access a middle-class life thanks to this deal. And it is no exaggeration to say that Donald Trump is the only person in America who could have pulled this off. But did you hear about this at all today? You didn't, because every headline was about President Trump calling President Obama a traitor. He may be trying to distract the noisy MAGA influencers from their fixation on Epstein. But what he's actually doing is distracting the American people who just don't care very much about Epstein from his own enormous accomplishments. The president has an obvious way out of this. It's as simple as starving the zone, But just 24 hours ago, he told Republicans to go on offense against Obama at every chance they get.
The stuff that's coming in is not even believable. So, and you should mention that every time they give you a question that's not appropriate, just say, oh, by the way, Obama cheated on the election.
I truly wish he would get back to the messaging of his time as president-elect. Remember this powerful moment?
I'm really looking to make our country successful. I'm not looking to go back into the past. I'm looking to make our country successful. Retribution will be through success.
Our retribution will be through success. That's the man who won 2 elections and who's delivering on his campaign promises, whose success would truly be his retribution, if only he could focus on conveying that to the American people. We begin tonight with Ben Ferguson, podcaster and talk radio host, and Jenn Pellegrino, chief spokesperson of the America First Policy Institute. Thank you both so much for being here.
Good to be here.
Thanks, Badia.
So, Ben, I am really outraged about this. This Japan deal was enormous, staggering, earth-shattering.
Yeah.
Under any other administration, this would be all we are talking about. He is the only person who could have pulled it off, and yet instead we're talking about Obama being a traitor. Help me understand it.
You can do 2 things at once. You can be an amazing president and get things done. And you can also look at the fact that you have reports that were literally changed out to change what was said in the record by corrupt individuals in the government that went as high as the President of the United States of America. How do you not talk about this? I mean, I go back to Watergate and I'm like, Watergate looks like a junior high stunt right now compared to what we heard today from the Director of National Intelligence. And what I love about the president is that now the media is complaining that he's gotten so good at doing his job that we can't cover how good he is at his job because he's talking about Barack Obama. Like, that is literally the definition of MAGA. Like, that's how good we are at this. But I mean, I laugh because I'm like, good, you guys are going to have to do a really good job of covering all of these other things. And look, I go back to what was said and what was changed and what was altered by the Obama administration and fabricated. We're talking about fabrication of documents. How do you not talk about that? How do you not cover it? And so if that takes up all the oxygen in the room, that's fine, because the good thing is Donald Trump's still getting all the other things done that he promised for the American people.
All right, just very quickly, in one sentence, what is the fabrication? What was the exact fabrication?
Number one, that there was some sort of collusion between Russia and Donald Trump in the 2016 elections, and they knew that that never happened, and yet they still put it out there to try to bring down his presidency, to put him in a situation where we had impeachments over an issue that they knew was actually not true and never happened.
I want to play you President Obama speaking to this. Let's have that thought.
I can assure the public that there was not the kind of tampering with the voting process that was of concern and will continue to be of concern going forward.
However, we're going to undermine Donald Trump's entire presidency and label him as some sort of asset to Russia so that he can't get his agenda done, and we will overthrow the will of the American people by having an impeachment. That's what Barack Obama should have said at the end of it.
Okay, thanks. So but that's not new. Jen, where are you on this? Do you think this is a bombshell, or do you agree with me that this is sort of obfuscating some of the very unifying aspects of this agenda?
Well, Badia, I think it's a bombshell for much of the legacy media right now that turned a blind eye to what the president was saying for years, what a lot of the American public was saying. This is not true. We don't believe what President Obama is saying. The media there, they heard from Barack Obama, President Obama at the time directly, and they didn't question that. They ran with it. You heard the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Atlantic, among many other outlets and publications running with this story and not asking the right questions. And I have to say, I disagree a little bit with your monologue earlier. This president has not had a tough time taking a victory lap, but what we're speaking about today is something that the American people, especially the base, care very deeply about, that they wanted to hear the transparency here. This administration has been very transparent. They've received that today, and it was just the beginning of many episodes after that to follow, for whether it was Hunter Biden's laptop, other stories that came up where the media said this is not true, and we only found out later, years later, that in fact it was. So they needed to hear this today, and I think it's important that the administration brought attention to it.
I mean, what about the fact that this Epstein story really does not seem to be a big deal for actual Republican voters? Something like 90% of them said they don't hold this against the president, they don't take it seriously. Isn't there a huge gap between the commentary of the podcasters and then the voters?
I go back to the whole issue with Epstein, and I said this to people at the White House. I just want to see whatever it is. If it's nothing, just let me see it. I have zero faith in our government that in the past they were doing things above board. I don't know what cover-ups there are, but I know what they did lie to us about. A great example of that is Russian collusion, Hunter Biden laptop, every person that was in the deep state saying, oh, this laptop's not real and this has all the markings of Russian intelligence. Remember that? Yeah. They all signed that. So I don't believe any of them. So if there's not a lot there with Epstein when you redact it, I want to make it be clear. I want to protect the victims. There were victims. I want to protect their identities. But outside that, I want to see what it is. And if there is not a lot there, and we were misled, by the way, by the government that there was a big deal there, and many of the media said that there was an Epstein list. If it's not there, then show me what there is. I think that's what many conservatives were frustrated with last week. I think it's clear the president's saying, okay, let's just put it out there and see what's there, and let's move on with whatever it is. But I don't trust the government to tell me any story right now, whether it's COVID or Epstein.
Jen, something that happened over the last administration, it became very clear that a certain very online segment of the left had really run away with the Democrats' platform, their agenda. They used to talk about working class issues. They used to talk about kitchen table issues. He knows where I'm going. That's why he's chuckling. Is there not a worry that something similar is potentially happening here? I mean, President Trump, he has his base, but he won because he convinced millions of people who had been Democrats their whole life that he was the one who should be put in charge and trusted with securing the American dream for the working class in this country. Is there not a danger here that we're losing sight of that?
Listen, I think a lot of Americans are very pleased with the work that's been done 6 months in. President Trump has delivered on the promises that he made on the campaign trail. No president is perfect. There's going to be disagreements. It happens within the party. I think that's something that President Trump has embraced, even within his own cabinet. I think there's going to be those concerns. At the same time, I think you look at the base, you look at the administration, among others, in the broader movement of the America First movement, there is concern that this is only the next election away, that this could be taken away. So I think, again, it's important for them to build a momentum, to keep engaging in the issues that the American people cared about, that they elected this president for, and I think they're going to continue down that path.
By the way, I never thought I'd say this, but I think Democrats have made it incredibly easy right now for this president, and I never thought I would say that. But when
Just
you
look at New York.
When you have New York and you have AOC, and you have people like, yeah, I'm a Marxist, no, I'm a communist, no, I'm a socialist, and you try to sell that to all of America, it's not a very good look. So, look, I've told Republicans for a long time, keep giving donations to AOC. She's the best thing that ever happened to us. I love this guy in New York. I don't even remember his name, but he's awesome.
Well, he's our next topic. His name is Zara Mamdani. Thank you both so much.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.